Hello and welcome. Today's discussion is on Rig Veda. I will discuss Rig Veda from philosophical point of view. Veda is a large and vast scripture, so it is very difficult to understand, especially the meaning of the hymns and also the meaning of different aspects which has been discussed in Vedas. To understand Veda, there are many approaches. They are all helpful. They all help us to know the Veda from different perspectives. There are mainly four approaches: religious approach, historical approach, philosophical approach, and esoteric approach. Religious approach helps us to know the mantras and hymns. Historical approach helps us to know the ancient Vedic socio-cultural practices. Philosophical approach helps us to know the Vedic cosmology, cosmogony, metaphysics, ancient science. Esoteric approach helps us to know the secret and deep meaning of the mantras. Let us discuss Rig Veda part by part and also see the structure of the Rig Veda. Each Veda is having four different sections: Samhita, Brahmanas, Aranyakas and Upanishads. In Rig Veda also we can get the same thing. Rig Veda is also having four different sections or parts. They are Samhita, which is consisting of hymns and verses. Brahmanas are the instructions given by the scholars regarding different ritual performances. Aranyakas are the instructions given by the hermits regarding sacrifices and also discusses about the importance of the sacrifices. Upanishads discusses about philosophy from different perspective. It is basically an esoteric philosophical extract of the Veda. Rig Veda, Samhita, hymns or the mantras. If you see Rig Veda, then you can get that it is actually the collection of 1028 hymns or suktas. It is the main text or core essence. Altogether, you can get almost 10,552 verses in Rig Veda. Now look at the structure of the Rig Veda. This is one of the hymns which I have picked for you. And from here we can get the idea how the hymns were written in those days. This is an important hymn of Rig Veda, Samhita. Now see very carefully. This is a whole thing is a hymn, and it has many verses. Especially in these hymns we can see 7 different verses. And also we can find in top of the hymn there are a panel which is divided into 3 different parts. At the leftmost part you can get the name of the composer who has composed that hymn. Middle of the panel you can get the meaning or the name of the rhythm or meter in which a person is advised to sing or chant the whole mantra. And the extreme right, you can get the name of god or goddesses to whom the total hymn is dedicated. This is another type of hymn where we can get the name of the composers, not one, more than one composers are there who has composed this hymn, and also more than one meter is being advised or instructed, and also this whole hymn is dedicated to more than one gods. So these are the different types of hymns in Rig Veda. Now this is another type of hymns which is comparatively shorter, which is having only 3 verses. So from here we can get that Rig Veda is having different types of hymns which actually dedicated to some god or goddesses and composed by different rishis. and advised to sing in a particular manner, that which they call it as meter or chanda. As you know, Veda is a large and vast scripture and all are written in Sanskrit. So obviously, to understand Veda, we need to approach the Veda in a systematic manner. For Veda, we need to know the Sanskrit so that we can understand the meaning of the hymns or mantras. Reading and grasping the meaning of the mantras in its original form, it is a basic necessity of the religious scholars. So to understand Veda, one should know Sanskrit. But the question arises here, if you do not know Sanskrit, then how will you approach Veda? There are many interpretations in English or in some other language. So to understand Veda in a proper way, we need to take the help of the original and authentic English translation. This is one of the very authentic English translation where we can get the complete translation of the Vedic hymns and mantras. Many translations are there, those are authentic, but some translations are also available where you cannot get the name of the rishis or composers, and at the same time you cannot get the name of the meter or the rhythm in which one must sing or chant the whole mantra. Now, in Rig Veda, we can get different names of god and goddesses, and they uttered that name, they mentioned those names several times. For example, Indra is the chief god of in Rig Veda. Indra, he has mentioned in Rig Veda almost around 289 times. Agni 218, Soma 123, the Ashwins around 56, Varuna 46, and many other god and goddesses are there. So from here you can understand that all the hymns which were written in Rig Veda all those hymns are dedicated to some gods, and that is why they mention the name of those goddesses several times, god and goddesses several times. Now, organization of Rig Veda. Rig Veda, it is such a big and large scripture. Around 1200 BC, Rig Veda, the codification of Rig Veda took place when the culture of Vedic culture moved from west of India to east of India. And during its codification, they organized Rig Veda in different ways. In the beginning, Rig Veda consisted a single collection of mantras with a non-linear structure, with every mantra connected to many others. And that is why later Rig Veda, they organized Rig Veda in two different ways. One is the Ashtaka method, another is the Mandala method. Now, Ashtaka method and Mandala method. Ashtaka method was designed to facilitate easy memorization by apportioning more less equal number mantras to each section. This is a type of organization. This method actually divided the whole hymn in a particular way. The Mandala method was designed group mantra based on the subject matter. So you can understand this is a kind of grouping the whole mantra so that we can understand and memorize it very easily. Let us see the Ashtaka method. The Rig Veda is divided in this method. The whole mantra or hymn of Rig Veda is divided into 8 ashtakas. Each ashtaka is divided into 8 adhyayas. Each adhyaya has a varied number of vargas, varying from 221 to 331. And each varga has a varied number of mantras, varying from 1147 to 1730. Let us see what is Ashtaka method. This is a glimpse of Ashtaka method, how it has been organized, and from here you can get the idea. Ashtaka 1, number of adhyayas are 8, whereas Vargas are 265 and mantras are 1370. Whereas Ashtaka 2, second Ashtaka is second part of that is having 8 adhyayas. Varga is 221 and mantras are 1147. So total adhyayas, total number of Ashtakas are 8 and total number of adhyayas are 64. Vargas are 2024, whereas the mantras are 10,552. Now the Mandala method. This is another type of method. The whole hymn is being divided. The Rig Veda is divided into 10 mandalas. Each mandala contains 4 to 24 anuvakas. Each anuvaka contains 43 to 191 suktas. In all, 1200 sukta contains same number of mantras, that is 10,552. This is the picture of mandala, and you can get the idea what is actually the mandala method. This is one mandala 1, number of anuvakas is 24, number of suktas 191, mantras 2006. Likewise, almost 10 mandalas, anuvakas number 85 and total number of suktas 1028, whereas total number of mantras are there 10,552. Mandala book 2 through 9. In mandala, if you see the mandala, you can get that so many aspects of knowledge have been discussed. In these hymns are mainly on cosmology, praise to the deities, familial and social rites and rituals have been were discussed. So mandala 2, basically 2 through 9, this mandala 2 and through 9, it discussed about cosmology, praise to the deities and social rites. Now if you see mandala book 1 and 10, it is hymns on different virtues, means dan, which is known as charity, hymns on origin of universe, nature of the divine and other metaphysical aspects. Rig Veda Brahmanas. Now Rig Veda, Indian interpretations of Veda and philosophy is an open book, it's not a closed one. So you can get many interpretations of Vedas, and that is why we can get many interpretations and many Brahmanas. Rig Veda is having two major Brahmana, they are Aitareya Brahmana and Kaushitaki Brahmana. They explain and instruct on the performance of Vedic rituals. The Rig Veda Aranyakas. Aranyakas are the book of hermits or forest dwellers. In Rig Veda, there are major two Aranyakas. Aitareya Aranyaka, which belongs to the Aitareya Shakha of Rig Veda. Kaushitaki Aranyaka belongs to the Kaushitaki and Shakhonna Shakhas of Rig Veda. The Aranyakas discuss sacrifices in details. There are so many interpretations and Upanishads. Rig Veda was written in hymns or in mantras. So basically it is poetic in nature, and that is why many interpretations are there. Anyone can interpret hymns, poem in their own way. So that is why there are many interpretations of Rig Veda, and the number of Upanishads are many in Rig Veda. Rig Veda is having many number of Upanishads, but among them Aitareya and Kaushitaki Upanishads are the major Upanishads, considered as the Mukha Upanishads are major Upanishads, whereas the other Upanishads are considered as the secondary or Gauna Upanishads. Basically in Upanishads, what we can find that the Guru impart esoteric knowledge to the pupil and also discusses about different philosophical aspects of our life, and also discussed about meditation, soul, incarnation and many things. So from here we can understand that Rig Veda is actually Upanishads, it's actually giving you the final, reveals the final aim of the Veda, and that is why it is known as Vedanta. So this is my discussion today on Rig Veda.